Welcome to the Vulnerable Viking, and I'm going to introduce my guest here in just a second, but just want to make sure you know that if you'd like to give us any kind of show requests or show ideas, or you'd like to be a guest, please go to vulnerableviking@gmail.com, and we're just excited to be here. And if you have any input, we'd love for your input. We hope you watch, we hope you share, we hope you like, we do all those kinds of things. And today is no different. When we talk about vulnerable Vikings, Ryan, who happens to be my nephew, I can't think of anybody who is more deserving of that title. And so we're going to get right into it. I've known Ryan, obviously, I've known Ryan since he was born. He was born. And he's just been such a cool, I can remember many memories of Ryan as a kid and my kids. So all my children are very close in age to Ryan. It's kind of all mixed up. And so they kind of grew up together. They still are friends. They still kind of like each other. I think that's probably the case. Ryan is Ryan has been in my mind. He has such a. I know he has his moments, but I know Ryan has been such a like an example to me. Ryan, tell everybody what happened a few years ago. Obviously, you're motating along, and all of a sudden something happens.
Yeah, it was actually 7.5 years ago. It was January 23rd of 2016. Um, I it was an accident, a skiing accident. I don't know if you can see in the video, but like
They
I'm in the
can,
wheelchair. Yeah,
yeah.
they got this here. It was a skiing accident that I had. And just to back it up a little bit, just to give a little context of about where I was at in my life is I was engaged at the time, and we were planning to get married in January or in June of that year, 2016. And so we got engaged in October, just around Halloween. January rolls around, and we were on a family ski trip, and we went skiing at this place called Eagle Point, which is down near Beaver. And my dad had seen this place on it was At Your Leisure, the ABC4 At Your Leisure, just a small little
Oh,
resort. Yeah,
little quaint
yeah,
little.
yeah. And so he was thinking that'd be a sweet place to go and have a family vacation, a little getaway weekend. And so we headed down there for the weekend. It was me, my fiance, my sister, my brother, or he wasn't the brother-in-law at the time, but he is now a brother-in-law. We just went down there to go ski, and we were blipping around the resort this whole weekend, just looking at the scenery and feeling the resort out. And at this time, I was a pretty well experienced skier. I used to teach skiing up at Snowbird.
Yeah, not really just experience, but a pretty much daredevil, but like expert
Yeah,
skier, right?
yeah.
You and your dad,
Yeah, both
pretty
of us.
much, and
Yeah,
probably the girls
yeah, the
probably too.
siblings also
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, and so like skiing was everything that I enjoyed. It was my passion. It was something that I very much was into. And so I was scouting out this resort. Since it's a small resort, there weren't a lot of large features, at least in the sense of like how sandy I could get. And so I would go and jump off a little rock that I would see, or I'd
Oh,
go over to their terrain park and hit their jumps. And there wasn't anything really way too flashy or like
no, like
huge
what
sandy.
bowls? Is that what you
Yeah,
call them?
or
Is that what you
yeah,
call?
yeah. There's bowls or cliffs or
Right.
all that. It was a flowy resort. But I had noticed that on the trail there was just off the trail there was a goalie, and then on the other side of the goalie there was this knoll. And in my mind, I was thinking that was a huge send coming from the top off of the trail over the goalie and down onto the.
By the way, I love your wording. A good send, a fall. I love all.
Yeah.
It's like surfing.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
gone to a pipeline, man. It's like
Yeah, we go
look at that tube.
getting
It's a
wild.
good send.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Whoop
I
out.
had to. I got to
Yeah.
know the. We got to know the
Yeah,
vocabulary.
it's funny. And sometimes when I'll tell people they say like the knuckle, and I'm like the knuckle's the top of the jump,
Oh, gotcha.
And so when I
Okay.
was coming off the lip of the trail, down the goalie, and then the knuckle, and I was thinking I could send this whole thing land on the downward slope of the knuckle, and that it'd be a huge jump. And so I scouted out. The very last day, I decided to go for it. I went off and I landed down in the goalie, kind of smashed down, had my legs underneath me, crushed. Got the wind knocked out of me, but I was all right. I'm like, holy cow, that was crazy. But I think I just need to hit it faster and go a little bit further so I can
Oh,
land.
so you crashed first.
Yeah.
You had a first crash.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. Yeah. But I was just thinking I just need to hit it faster and go a little bit further so I can land on the downward slope. And so this time I decided to have Kendra and my dad film it. Kendra was posted up over here. My dad was on the other side of the goalie. And I was just waiting for my cue to go. And Kendra said, all right, ready. And we have this on video. And so I start going, and I'm coming down, and I go off the lip. And when I'm coming off the lip, I'm in the back seat, so I'm starting to fall backwards. And coming down, and land right on the knuckle, right on the top of the knuckle, without my legs being underneath me because I was so far in the back seat, and hit my keister. And compressed. Yeah, it came down and blew my spine out. It was a compression fracture, and the video is. It's crazy to watch the video over and over again, but I can show people, and it's fine. But the part that kind of gets me is Kendra had actually took the phone and stuck it in her pocket and had the audio.
Aftermath.
Yeah, and she forgot to stop recording, and so you can hear her come and ski down, and get to me, and say, "Rye, you okay? Rye, get up!" Like, right, and you can hear me just moaning and groaning, and I knew that I broke my back. Like,
Right.
I broke my back, like, trying to. It was hard to really comprehend everything that was going on just because of the amount of pain that was just going through my body. I knew I broke my back. I didn't think anything about, can I move my toes? Can I wiggle my legs? Can any of this? I just was just trying to just stay coherent through this experience, and they wanted to try and get me up out of this hole because there was a lot of snow. I cratered into the
kind of fell back in.
Yeah, crushed down into the snow, and they wanted to try and get me up and out of there, but I couldn't do anything. And fortunately, I don't know, within a minute, even on the audio, you hear the ski patroller show up. He was just down the trail and saw everybody kind of freaking out.
Right.
And so they came up, and he said, "Hey, I'm Tim, whatever, like, let's get this going. Let's try and get things going." And they sent the whole brigade, the entire resort came down to try and help me out. But basically they had to pull me up out of this crater before they could get me onto the backboard. And then at that time, immediately they called the ambulance to come up the canyon. And so basically by the time I got up to the top, the ambulance was there. And yeah, they just knew it wasn't good, and so they had to ship me down to the Beaver Hospital, which is a little hospital.
It's right along the freeway there.
Yeah, and I got to that hospital. They saw that my spine had blown and that there was a bone stuck into my spinal cord from my T12 vertebrae. When it shattered, it was crushed in there. And Beaver Hospital said, we got to send you up to Utah Valley. Yeah, and at that time, I've got family in the medical field. They just started calling neurosurgeons or getting friends' advice, and they had a neurosurgeon on call, or that they
did they helicopter you up, or did you no they drove you up?
So,
not that it matters.
No,
but I mean,
the thing is at that time, like, I was coherent enough to know that I didn't have any insurance, and I'd just turned 26 too. I was 26, so it was just right off my family's insurance, and I was supposed to get on.
So you were thinking about insurance?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, which sucks.
Sure.
You know, like,
sure.
Why do I have to worry?
I could totally.
I'm like, okay, it's gonna be cheaper for me to take an ambulance than it is for me to take a helicopter.
Not to laugh, but to laugh. I mean,
sure.
You're thinking about cost when your back's broken.
I know. Yeah, but by the time they got me up to Utah Valley, the neurosurgeon said that my vitals weren't stable enough Kendra rode with me up through in the
Who, by
ambulance.
the way, is your
Yeah,
wife.
who's my wife now? Yeah, yeah, and
Sweet lady.
I can get into that for
Yeah, no,
sure.
we need to.
Yeah,
Um,
but she rode up with me in the ambulance, and when we got there, the neurosurgeon said I wasn't stable enough, and so that was just a long, agonizing, like 3 days of them just
right.
trying to
Figure it out.
stabilize me before they could actually go in and pull the bone out of my spinal cord. Uh,
Now, did you sever? How does that work?
It,
Do you sever it, or is it
it was,
partial, or
yeah,
how does that work?
yeah. So as it relates to spinal cord injury, there's complete and there's incomplete. Spinal
Right.
cord injuries, complete is where it's
The whole
done. There's
thing.
nothing else. But I actually had crushed my spinal cord, and there's a little sac that goes around the spinal cord. The bone crushed into it, but it didn't sever it, so it just like pinched, like a really bad pinched nerve,
Right.
and they pulled it out, um, and so it didn't sever it, and so that was kind of what gave me hope in the beginning, was that, hey, this thing isn't completely severed,
Right. Right.
even though the doctors were saying, yeah, you're probably not going to have any movement, you're probably not going to walk again,
Right.
that sort of thing. um, but I just knew that since it was crushed, that it wasn't a total loss, and that's where it kind of like leads into this whole thing about Kendra. I think is, when we were up at the University of Utah, we were going through this whole, I guess, a little bit of a battle with family where they're like, hey, maybe you should hold off on the wedding. Maybe we should push it off.
Oh.
Maybe we should, because life in a wheelchair, we don't know what life's going to be like, that sort of thing. And Kendra she didn't care. She said, hey, like, I married him because of his personality, and,
Wow, that's sweet.
it's not necessarily his physical
Sure.
situation.
Sure.
Like,
That's a good woman right there.
yeah, and I told her, I said, Kendra, like, we're gonna keep the wedding, and I'm gonna walk down the aisle at our wedding. I'm gonna figure this out. And when I was in the hospital, I was just focusing on trying to move my legs, and I get just a little twitch, and I just focus on like trying to move it,
Right.
and eventually I got twitch and like got a little bit of movement back and started getting some more back, and like now to this point, like
Look at that.
I can move my legs like this, but there's nothing going on in my glutes.
Quads
Yeah,
and glutes.
quads are a little bit of hamstring, nothing in the glutes, and then nothing below the knees.
Right.
But at the wedding, yeah, I got leg braces.
I'll
and
never forget that.
Was practicing, yeah.
That was pretty amazing. I remember that day. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah, yeah, it was a beautiful day. It
And
was,
you walked it.
yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Then I had my dad there as my best man, and he was just holding on to me, and my mom actually walked down the aisle with me too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, both of them just kind of on my side, just helping me down the aisle.
Right.
Oh, man, this is wild. But I was able to get up, and I was able to do it, and told Kendra I was gonna walk at the wedding. It was awesome, a really cool experience. Yeah.
How did you? Okay, so obviously we've gone way back. How's been your progression with what you've had? I mean, that's pretty astonishing what you can do now. I remember that you were working on that way before, but how's been your? I mean, obviously this happens to you, and what goes through your mind is insurance. But what's the next thing that goes through your mind? Like, I'm never gonna walk again. I can, I'm not gonna run with my kid. I'm not gonna do. What are some of the things that, have been like permeating your brain for these last 7, and maybe a little progression
Yeah.
on what matters and what doesn't matter?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because like one of the first things that I thought about after I'd crashed, I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to ride a sit ski.
Right off the bat?
Yeah, for sure.
And
yeah.
you're doing that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like, it doesn't matter if my legs work or they don't. I know that I could still ski,
Sure.
like, because of my connections and working at Snowbird as an instructor. I had some friends that taught with Wasatch Adaptive Sports, and Wasatch Adaptive Sports, is an adaptive program, and I know about the Paralympics and sit skiers, and
Sure.
I had a feeling that was going to be my
And you're
transition.
competing? You compete from time to time, right? Or are you
Well,
teaching? Or are
yeah,
you
yeah, I'm mentoring. Like I've picked up some sponsorships and stuff. So the it's interesting because the world of sit skiing, this could be a whole topic in itself, is that like everybody asks, are you going to go to the Paralympics? Are you going to go race with the Paralympic team?
right?
But they're only running gates, you know. They're doing like
Oh,
slalom or
right.
giant slalom. So they're just doing races when in the world of skiing as a whole, there's Big Mountain, which is
Sure. You just want to
really
come
just
down and come
yeah,
as fast as you want,
for
right?
sure, yeah, and like they judge you on style and flow and that sort of thing. Time.
Even sitting down, I can't imagine doing that. Anyway, I can see you doing
Oh
it, but
yeah, yeah, and so I'm trying to push in the world of skiing in Big Mountain, but like I got back up on the sit ski through Wasatch Adaptive Sports. Just started
how soon was that? How soon?
as soon as the doctor cleared me. For,
Really?
yeah,
So that next
yeah,
winter?
yeah. It was a year after.
Okay, I remember. So we'll have to post. So you're I know we're breaking it up, but
Yeah.
you're on Instagram as
Yeah, Brody underscore Snowbird.
Snowbird Brody, and then are you on Facebook or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah, Brody.
Brody
Yeah,
Snowbird.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so all your social
yeah,
medias.
yeah. Brody's
We'll make
my nickname
right.
derived from Broderick. You know, the last
That's
name.
right. That's
Yeah, and
right.
so a lot of my friends and ski homies know me as Brody,
Okay.
and so yeah, yeah, I'm definitely on
So
those platforms.
your progression has been, the attitude. Obviously, you had a great attitude to begin with, but
Yeah.
how is that? I mean, have you been able to help others that have had accidents? And I mean,
For
obviously,
sure. It's been interesting to see people and that progression.
right,
Like often every time I see anybody in a wheelchair or some sort of like disability, I'll go up to them and say, "Hey, you know, you want to go ski? You want to go cycle? You want to go do whatever?"
so you're kind of like the advocate for. You're just like a big
Uh-huh.
advocate for ski, and all that.
Yeah, and then cycle in the summer.
Oh, are
Yeah.
you cycling?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I've
okay,
actually got a mountain bike that should be getting shipped from
nice.
Canada. It's an adapted mountain bike.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that work? Is that
I know
like you have to?
it's electric and it's
It's
just this
yeah,
thing
and you would
just
okay.
it jams. I'm excited for it.
Well,
Yeah.
you've always been a speed demon and
Yeah.
junkie. That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's
now
cool.
I said Kendra's just she's got to worry about me all seasons now instead of just ski
instead
season.
of instead of ski, you're going down. Yeah, I gotcha.
I know,
I gotcha.
but this last season, here's the thing: is this last season like I've realized that how careful I need to be because I actually broke my shoulder. I dislocated it and broke my humeral head taking my sit ski off of the
Oh,
kickers at Woodward. You know, because I had this idea of like I can ski the big mountain real well, but I was thinking like maybe I can go off these kickers and do some cool stuff. But
jumps, which are
yeah,
kickers.
oh yeah, yeah, the
Gotcha.
jumps, yeah.
Gotcha.
But like I broke my shoulder and being down like to one good limb, really, it was rough.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
I realized how fortunate I am to have my upper body strength, you
Sure.
know, and
Sure.
that's the one thing
And you
that
look good. You look really
thanks,
good.
yeah, that's the one thing that I always try and
Get to
push.
the gym. You got to
Yeah,
the
I'll
gym.
go with you,
You did.
man.
Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well,
no, you look good that
thanks,
way.
man.
But one arm, just having one arm,
Yeah,
that's kind of tough.
yeah, yeah. But I just feel like we just need to maximize, you know, what we do have. You
Right.
know, and, like even if I was down to one arm or whatever, like we need to focus on the things that we do have and how we can maximize that instead of spending our time, you know, oh I can't walk or oh I can't grab those things out of that cabinet out, you know, up there or whatever. I mean, yeah, we got to fight through some of those hard feelings, but if we spend more time focusing on maximizing what we do have, like it's just it works out better. And so like that's why I'm so grateful after going through that. I'm so grateful that I have dexterity in my fingers. You know, I'm so
Sure.
grateful that I
Sure.
can think, you know,
Right.
critically,
Right.
like, you know, like have
Right.
critical thinking and like and just yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting.
No, that's a good place. And well, yeah, I've got, that's one of those things that I want to get into as well.
Yeah.
So you were talking about maximizing your situation. How has that progressed over the years? I mean, is that what you tell
Oh
people
yeah,
too? I mean, people go,
for
"Oh my
sure.
goodness, I'm so sorry," and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. How is
Yeah.
your?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing is they do say that, and then people get empathetic, and it's just, yeah, it is a situation to be sorry about. Like it's nobody
Right.
wants to go through that, but the thing is, we all have to chop through things that we don't want to go through or that are just kind of inevitable. And but being able to maximize my situation is the mindset that I've had this whole time, and so when I got back to the ski, started just riding, I'm like, okay, like I know how a ski's supposed to work on the snow and different pitch and snow conditions and stuff, and so like I had kind of this natural ability to get back to it. I just had to learn to translate it on the monoski. But yeah, I just maximized
Do
my
you control that with your core? Is that like a core
yeah,
thing?
yeah,
The
yeah. A
monoski?
lot of it
A
is
lot of it's
like
core
yeah,
and
my upper body
sure.
and my arms. I've got these outriggers that I put
I
on my
think I've
arms. Yeah,
seen.
and
Yeah.
then I almost when I'm skiing powder, I almost use them like somebody on a high wire would use
Oh yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
because I don't necessarily touch them down, but I just kind
Right.
of go like
And
this
you
and
got
just
enough snow to keep you
float. Yeah,
above.
yeah,
Oh, that
but
is cool.
it's sweet. Yeah,
That
but
must be an interesting experience, an experience that most people
yeah,
would never have
it,
unless
it's
they had paralysis. That
it's
would be
it's funny because like I'll go out and ski with my buddies and they're like, my legs are tired. I'm like mine aren't.
yeah.
Like
Amen.
yeah, like I can
Amen.
keep
It's all
going.
good here. I'm in the lazy chair.
Yeah,
I'm in the lazy boy chair.
yeah, and so but through learning and being able to maximize my abilities on the sit ski, like now I can help share that with other people who are trying to learn, trying to figure it
Right.
out, trying to get into some of this big mountain skiing. I was able to pick up sponsorships. I've got sponsorship with Giro. Giro does
Oh yeah.
helmets and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
goggles. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always called it gyro or whatever, but
Yeah,
gyro,
I
yeah.
always when
Yeah.
when they reached out to me, I never said their name until they said it to me
Yeah,
first.
there you go. I need a euro.
I need yeah, yeah, but it's Giro, and then Pit Viper does a little bit of stuff, and then Stio was the one that I picked up last year. They do mountain apparel like
Wow, very
jackets and
cool.
things like that,
Yeah.
and the Snowbird.
Um, I
Yeah.
would imagine that monoski, I imagine that's a pretty hefty price,
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
it's
even
like buying a
that
car.
mountain bike too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this adaptive equipment. Yeah, for sure. My sit ski, the whole setup was $8,000.
Wow.
Which
Wow.
I didn't. Obviously, I don't have or didn't have
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And there's programs out there, actually nonprofits that raise money to help
To help.
people. Like, and that's what
That's really
that's what
cool.
I had to do for my mountain bike too. Is go to these nonprofits and apply for grants, and then they grant some money towards it.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and so that's one thing actually that I've learned about life in the wheelchair and adapt like durable medical equipment and stuff like that. There's just like huge market for it and people need the stuff, but sometimes it's just like so hard to get. Um, yeah, and actually I started a nonprofit of my own. It's a 501c3, and what I really want to do, I'm not way too far into it, but what I want to do is I want to help connect people to equipment like wheelchair brakes and wheelchair wheels and, trying to get their stuff fixed because I never realized how much of a problem it is for people to try and acquire this equipment. And so,
The expenses and the
yeah,
rigmarole and everything you have to go through
going
it.
through insurance. Like if
Right.
my brake breaks, they say I have to go to a doctor and get a prescription. I'm like, you have to get a prescription
For your
for
wheelchair?
a broken, yeah, and then you send it into insurance, and then they have to approve it, and you still have to pay it. So
Wow.
yeah,
So have
I'm
you
a-
helped? I mean, obviously you've tried to help other people and have found,
Yeah.
hey, there's a void there.
Yeah, for sure. And
That's awesome.
And ultimately, what I want to do is I just want to build a network
Yeah.
where we can connect people, almost like
Yeah.
a platform.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You could go onto Facebook or whatever, but I really want to like.
Well, anytime, we're hoping to have a bigger and bigger viewership
Yeah.
when you want to talk about that, please
Yeah.
just give me a call and let me know if you want to talk about it. Because what do you call your 501c3?
It's the Mobility Access Group.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And so.
Do you have a website yet or nothing?
No, we're
You're
really
get it
fresh
and all that
into
stuff?
it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I've
You
been
get
busy.
your social media and all that.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about regular life.
Yeah.
What are you doing these days? I mean, obviously you.
I feel, well, right now since it's summertime, it's kind of like my off season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, winter time's my on season, summertime's my off season. It's still, I'm working, for my dad,
Right.
doing hardware, mirrors, and shower glass, the like subcontracting business
Sure.
to pay the bills. But still, Kendra and I are always going out and trying to find new adventures. We just got back from Florida
Oh,
actually
nice.
on Monday. Went to my buddy's wedding. And it was actually the first time I ever went to the beach since I've been paralyzed, 7.5 years.
Right.
And it was interesting. Like,
Did you need bigger tires?
my buddy,
Don't they have those big wheelchairs
they,
with the
they
big, like
do,
the
for
fat
sure.
tires?
Since
Does that help?
he was getting married on the beach, and he wanted me
Oh.
to be his best man. I'm like,
Oh, nice.
dude, you've pushed me through so much gravel in this wheelchair and had a firefighter carry me up a bunch of stairs, and now you want to get married on a beach? But he ended up renting me like this electric beach wheelchair.
Oh,
so I was
wow.
able to just sit in it and
Go.
jazz around.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But the one thing that I think was interesting about the situation, it was a little bit, and I feel like this is where my vulnerability needs to show, is that when I was at the beach for my very first time, like getting out there, sitting it, like climbing off the chair, okay, I'm on the beach. But now, like, everybody's out playing. They're playing spike ball and doing all these things and running out and playing into the, in the water. And, like, it was hard. It was heavy, like, to watch all this and not be able to be involved like I used to and go out
Right. Right.
and do all that. And then for me to get into the water on the beach, I'd have to climb off the beach chair, shimmy down the sand, and get into the water. And then at that point, just kind of just float out there.
Right.
And it was beautiful. It was absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how that feel.
I mean, it was nice to be out there. Like, it was. There were some tough emotions that I had to kind of fight through because
Right.
I can't do all that stuff
Right.
like I used to. But in the same sense, like, I gotta realize that, and I gotta, then you gotta accept it, and then you just gotta focus on, like, what is it that you're loving about the situation now? Like, I loved being there with Kendra, being out on the beach. I loved how people around me, all my friends, wanted to help and wanted to just, like, pull me out into the water and, like,
Right.
lift and carry me back up onto the, onto my
Right.
chair. And people are just genuinely, like, want to help. And it's amazing to see that. And sometimes I've noticed people who live life in a wheelchair kind of want to be just more independent and stuff. Somebody's helping, they're like, no, I can do this, no, I got this. And I'm like, cool, like, that's cool that you can show that and show that you can do this. But for myself personally, like, when people want to come and try and help, and, like, for example, getting my wheelchair in and out of my car, when I'm at the gas station, I've had people who don't speak a lick of English just come and start just trying to grab my wheelchair just to try and help push it into the car. And I don't even know this person, but
That's cool.
And I don't think it's not necessarily helping me, but in the same sense, I'm looking at them and seeing that they want to help and they just want to be there, and, like, this random person is just helping me out, and so I just let them do it and let them feel good about themselves, and I feel good about them too.
Sure.
So it's interesting.
Thank you for sharing both of that, the beach and people. That's really that's what this podcast is about. It's about being vulnerable. It's about showing your vulnerability, but also showing the strength, that it takes to kind of go through everything. And everybody's dealt a different deck of cards, even while they're in life. And it's been amazing to watch you, and it's amazing to see how you are. I mean, I know most people that would watch, like you started out with, oh, they feel sorry, but then again, your attitude's like, well, yeah, but guess what? You gotta do it,
Yeah.
But sharing that beach story, because I could see as an athletic young man as you were and you are, and you look at that and you go, well, shit, what can I do? Can I help? Can I be involved in that? And I appreciate you sharing that. And there are good people in the world. There are good people in the world that will actually reach out and do something really good, and that's cool that they do that for you. is there anything? I mean, is there anything like, not in our final moments, but is there anything that you want people, whether maybe they're, they've got challenges, you want them to know, or is there anything you want the regular person to know about your situation, and anything like that, anything come to mind, kind of giving you a floor?
I think the only thing that I really am thinking about is the very first time I ever gave an interview to ABC 4 News. It was probably like, I think it was it a year after my accident or a little while after my accident or whatever. They came up to film me up at Snowbird, and I was giving this interview, and I was chatting, just talking, spewing, and I said something. I said, yeah, all I like to do is turn my adventure or my adversity into my adventure, and turning adversity into adventure has been at since then. It's just been my like slogan, because we're all gonna go through challenges, and um, we're all gonna experience heartache and tough times and fighting through our own personal battles. But how is it that fighting through that makes it your adventure and your story? You know, I've gone up to do an event with Wheels. I don't know if you know Wheels, Aaron Wheel. He's on Nitro Circus, the dude in the
Oh yeah,
wheelchair that
yeah.
takes his wheelchair. Yeah, I did an event with him up at Woodward Park City, and all these kids in wheelchairs came up, and families, and people were asking the same questions. And this little girl in an electric wheelchair, you know, asked about our stories, and I told her, I said, you know what, like, yeah, we've got these cool things, we got these cool experiences, and we've been able to really like push in on the things that we're passionate about, but like, you have your own story, and like, you have your own adventure that you need to like, I guess, visualize and be able to express and share that with others, and then try and put your mind on a path of like, progression.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think no matter what your physical or mental situation is just know that going through these challenges and these trials is creating your story, and how you tend to react to it is really gonna like it's really gonna shape it. Yeah.
Adversity to adventure.
Uh huh.
That's the name of this episode.
Yeah.
Uh, that's bingo. It's in the can. I don't even need to say anything else. I just appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. I'm a little emotional because
Yeah.
you're family, but this is exactly this is exactly what we want to be doing, and telling stories about adversity and things like that. So I really appreciate you coming. Love you to death.
Of course, man. I love you too.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry this one out. See ya.